All right, CUSMA negotiations are set for 2026. Concerns surrounding the implications of the U.S. in Venezuela have added another layer of complexity to that discussion. Joining us now to unpack it all is Ben Rowswell, the consultant with Catalyze 4 and the former Canadian ambassador to Venezuela. Ben, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on the show.
It is a challenging situation, Venezuela, for Canada. What does it do with it?
Well, this is a frontal attack on the principle of sovereignty, which is the bedrock of the whole international system, and something that every country cares deeply about, not just Canada, Venezuela, obviously. Everyone's happy that Maduro's gone. Like, don't get me wrong, that guy was awful, and Venezuelans are jubilant that he is gone. But the idea that the United States is going to dictate what the Venezuelan government will do, it will just take as much oil as it wants, and the Venezuela will just get bombed again if they don't like it. Like, that's not going to fly. Not just with the people of Venezuela, who eventually are going to rise up against an American-supported dictatorship, having opposed the Maduro dictatorship. Why would they not oppose the Delcy Rodriguez dictatorship? But other countries in the world are paying very close attention now and taking action to protect their sovereignty, and that's got to include Canada too. We don't face a military invasion by the United States, but our sovereignty is also being questioned by the Trump administration.
But Canada does have to tread lightly with this because, I mean, we're heading into negotiations for CUSMA, and Trump can turn on a moment. And how careful does Mark Carney, the Prime Minister, have to be on what he says regarding Venezuela and then getting into the talks themselves?
I think we have to approach this from a position of strength. We just tell the Americans that we're going to walk away from the deal if they don't give us what we want. I don't think that treading lightly makes any difference whatsoever. Look at Maria Corina Machado. She's like bent over backwards. This is the massively popular Democratic politician in Venezuela. She has gone bent over backwards to say, we love you, Donald Trump. I'm going to dedicate my Nobel Prize. She gets absolutely nothing. So being cautious doesn't seem to deliver results at all. And we think that the Trump administration, I mean, the most objective analysis that you can give is that they want to establish dominance. And the way that they want to do that is to be as explicit as possible. We're on top, you're on the bottom, you listen to us. If we speak carefully and cautiously and dance around, we give the Trump administration exactly what they want, which is that dominance. And then once they have the dominance, then they can really damage our economy even further. So heading into these CUSMA negotiations, Canada has a lot more to lose by a bad deal than not having one. And we give ourselves better leverage by saying, screw you, we'll walk away if we have to because we're a sovereign country.
What gives us the strength, do you feel, to walk away from them, though? To say we'll walk away from the talks? What are our strong points that we can do that?
Canada is a really significant, large economy, and the disintegration of a very integrated continental economy will cause harm on both sides. There is a lot of pressure within the United States, within the commercial sector of the United States, to pressure the American government. And so once they see the pain that they will suffer, then there can be that the divisions within the Americans. But we also have the rest of the world to trade with. It's true that our private sector has tended to prefer trading with the United States because it's so close and up until now has had a relatively similar set of institutions and values that actually had the rule of law. But now that it no longer has the rule of law, and now that those institutions have been captured by a completely different political system than the one that we're used to, we're seeing a significant shift in Canadian trade patterns already. We have free trade agreements in place with every major economy in the world except for China. We're spearheading discussions about deepening our relationship with the European Union. We're spearheading a lot of a significant expansion of trade into Asia. Mm-hmm. I think there's going to be some short-term economic pain for Canada in the first place, but until we're more diversified from the United States, we're not going to be able to protect our economy. And that starts by acknowledging that free trade is already dead between Canada and the United States and moving on from there.
Now, the big thing, I think, for trade for Canada, of course, is oil, energy. The oil was heading south. When the possibility maybe it won't be going south. Do you think we have the political will? It was elbows up and Team Canada. Do we have the political will to build that pipeline to the West Coast?
It'll be a real test of our national unity for us to weather the pain of disengaging from the United States, of sharing the burden of all of the economic disruption that's going to cost. It's going to involve Canadians that are really passionate about fighting climate change and those that are really passionate about exporting oil and gas to find common ground. And I don't want to underestimate how difficult that is. But I have represented Canada abroad for 25 years in all kinds of different countries. I've seen Canadian troops in action in Canada. I've negotiated with the United States. And one thing that I have consistently found is that Canadians are extremely committed to our national interest. And we are really quite committed to one another. We're a far less polarized and divided society than most. And so my sense is that, yes, Canada will weather this terrible storm that's coming our way, and that we will stand together as a united country.
Okay, we'll have to wrap it up there, Ben, but thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Ben Rowswell is a consultant with Catalyze 4 and former Canadian ambassador to Venezuela.